Good afternoon or good evening, South Sudan. Welcome back to another episode of Gender Talk 211 with Eva Lopez. So today we're going to have a powerhouse conversation with the powerhouse herself. But before we get into that, my co-host Jackie is going to give us a bit of gender news. What has been happening this week in South Sudan? What are the gender news?
Here on our gender news segment, a traditional court in Wau, Western Bahr el Ghazal state, has sentenced a 19-year-old girl for months in prison for having refused arranged marriage by the family, and later she was released after the intervention of the state government, reported by iRadio.
I think this case has been all over the internet this whole week. I'm going to reserve my comments so we can have a conversation about it with our guest today. Let's go on. What is next?
First of its kind, fertility center in South Sudan is set to receive clients in Juba following its launch on Thursday, 8 November 2022. This is the commitment of Queen's Medical Center in response to increasing fertility problems being reported to specialist Irene Lasso.
Okay, I would have never known. I would have never guessed, really. But kudos to Queen's Clinic for this initiative. I would love to know more about this and how deep are fertility problems in South Sudan. I don't know if you have any comments online. Drop them below. Yes, what's up next?
Girls' Education South Sudan launched the payment of cash transfers to over 400,000 schoolgirls in South Sudan. All girls from primary 5 to secondary 4 registered and regularly attending classes are eligible for the cash transfer. So I think also those who are lazy to go to school will miss this out.
Right. But 400,000 girls to go to school. I'm really proud of the work that Girls Education South Sudan has been doing to keep girls in school. It's no secret that, girls drop out left and right because of different societal, maybe even cultural problems that we have. Pregnancy is through the roof. So I'm really happy that, an initiative like Girls Education South Sudan
it's encouraging,
remaining consistent as well. Since they started, I think they've, maintained a certain consistency.
I was also a beneficiary of that.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know. So we have a Girls Education South Sudan beneficiary in this. I did not know. How did that help you?
That was so okay because we were in a boarding, like for myself.
Okay.
And sometimes because we don't use phones, like we don't use phones in school. And sometimes when certain things are lacking, it's very hard to call home. And that money can really help, keeping us in the boarding, getting our basic needs. So it was really like, I feel school should not go off. It's like they're paying us for studying, but I like it.
Right. What was the process? Because, we've heard different stories that some girls are not receiving the cash, and there are certain technicalities or issues in delivering the cash. What was the process for you?
Okay, the process for us, like every day attendance were taken. For my case, where I study in St. Bakita, primary and secondary school, attendance are taken like every day in class and in the dormitory. And also, if like you're not very regular in the school, for unknown reasons, you don't get that. Of course, when they are coming, they used to inform, and then they will gather all the students, and so attending
classes makes you eligible for this. How do they keep up? Like, what happens afterwards? You receive the cash. Do they keep checking back with you?
Of course, there are some individuals who come back to ask, like, they try to interview us, the amount given maybe to confirm from the administration if it was given correctly. So they call some few representatives from different classes to ask what was the payment, is everyone able to get it, and, how it was also helpful to us. They also take information. So, yeah.
That's good. Not bad. So cheers to Girls Education in South Sudan. Yes. What's up next?
Girls Education South Sudan also announced Teens to Guam magazine, one of its kind. The magazine was inspired will inspire youth in South Sudan to follow their dreams and to keep striving for their success, says their tweet page. The magazine is mostly for teens, boys, and girls in secondary and primary. It includes poetry, fashion, educational, and informational pieces. I think this is also a great,
Nice. I think I saw it on Twitter, maybe, was it yesterday? Or, I'm not sure. But I think it's Teens Tagua.
Yeah,
Teens Tagua magazine. Mm-hmm. It's a great initiative. I don't think we've seen anything like this before, at least not by, well, we had Likikiri produce the book.
Yeah.
Yes, Likikiri Collective produced the book that was by teens. But now I guess this will become a more regular magazine. It's a great outlet for, young people to express themselves. I like to write and talk
and also their
through.
Talent,
Right, their talent, imagination, expression in general. So great initiative once again. I think we need some drum rolls for girls education. South Sudan. Okay, what else do we have?
Yeah, a trending conversation took over the South Sudan internet in regards to Miss Earth South Sudan wearing a protective pad during her bikini photo sessions. Bikini photo sessions, and a piece of it was visible. What do you think about this? Ever?
I don't know why you're asking me. I saw the outrage. Was it an outrage or more so ignorance? I couldn't understand what was going on. First of all, let me say this. So in 2010, I became the very first Miss Tourism International for Sudan and South Sudan, right? And it's required when you're doing bikini sessions. It's required that you wear a protective pad. Like, let's not hide our words. It's required because sometimes there are vaginal discharges that are outside of your control. It's not necessary that she was on her period. But the thing that really upset me is, even if she was on her period, so what? You get what I'm saying? It's very, very normal. So I didn't understand what was really happening. I don't have much to say to whoever was saying a lot of things, but I do want to say to Melang herself. Her name is Melang Kwal, Miss Earth South Sudan, and she's right now in the Philippines competing for the Miss Earth title. I do want to say to her, keep your head up, keep moving. You're amazing. You're doing great. You're absolutely beautiful. I am sending love and words of encouragement. And we can't ask you for more than what you're doing. To be honest, we can't ask you for more. You're doing the best you can, and that's all we can ask for. Keep representing and keep your head up, because a lot of us love you and are really rooting for you. So don't let social media get to your head. Yeah, keep doing what you do, and we are rooting. Yeah. What's up next?
A male footballer physically assaulted a female referee in Wow Western Barkazal for being given red card. Yesterday, an update revealed that the player has been expelled from the team. I saw it also, like all over on social media, and the guy was kind of, I felt, it's really not encouraging.
Oh, there was a clip of what actually happened.
The clip was there, and also some photos were taken, and it's kind of blowing
at her,
and she was kind of defending herself.
I heard about this, not too much, but I did hear of I read a report. I think I read a report where it said he kicked a football at her. I think he said something to her, words that we cannot mention on the show. But it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, very disrespectful. It's definitely some sort of assault. I mean, why? Not even some sort, it is assault. Why? One, we do know for sure that it's because she's a woman. He wouldn't have done this to a man or a male referee. I don't see that happening. We've never heard of it happening. They'll get upset, but they're not going to go as far as
blowing somebody.
Right. Right. They wouldn't go as far as that. But this just shows how much disrespect they have for women out there. I mean, absolutely terrible incident. If you didn't mention this story, I was going to mention it because it really upset me. And I think he deserved to get expelled. Absolutely. Yeah. Get him expelled from the team. There should be no room for this kind of mannerisms. There should be no room at all. And it shows that, a warning sign for others that would try to attempt moving forward. Don't even try it. This is not where you play. So kudos to the WOW. It was in WOW. We don't know what the football team is called. Yeah.
Okay, they were calling it local football association because of the territorial kind of.
Yeah. Okay, so kudos to the football association for standing their ground and protecting women referees. All right, what else do we have on gender news?
I think that's the end of our gender news.
Amazing, because good job, by the way. Let's skip the high five. Okay, high five. Good job. Yeah. So now we come to my favorite part of the show, which is where we have a conversation. And today's topic is it women's rights or rights over women? What exactly is happening in this nation? We have a powerhouse in the studio with us today. And I'm so excited to have her here. We've started from a long time ago and we have wanted to have her in the studio before, but finally, she is here. Adeng, go on ahead and introduce yourself to the good people.
Hi, everyone. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you, Evolupa, and thank you, Jackie. I'm glad to be a part of the Gender Talk 211. There's always a nice conversation. And I'm looking forward to talk about the women's right because that's my passion. And that's me. So my name is Adeng Leek. I work for Nonviolent Peace Force as a program manager, and I'm a human rights advocate. And I'm today as Adeng, not the organization.
Yes, and that's who we wanted on the show. We wanted Adeng because other than what she does, who she works for, she is a voice that stands for women. All day, every day, we have heard her speak up case after case online and every platform that she can find. So we are truly happy to have her on the show as we look at, 16 days of activism is coming up and we are looking at the state of women's rights in the country. So is it really women's rights or rights over women? Adeng, before I touch on specific cases, I want to ask you in general and just broadly, what do you think is the state of women's rights in the country today?
That's a very interesting question. And I can say that as much as we know that the Constitution says that women have their own rights, and we know that there is a lot of bills that talks about women's rights. There's a lot of frameworks, legal frameworks, international and national that talk about the women's rights. Still, there is a violation of women's rights. Be it from the court, from the customary court, from the legal system, even from the society. So when we look at the norms and cultures, it's also violating the rights of women. And when we talk about the society, it's also undermining women. So the women are trying their best. I can give them the applaud. But still, there is some barriers. There is a lot of things that stops us from getting there, getting to the goals and the missions and the visions that we have for ourselves. And when you look at the situation in South Sudan, conflicts has really affected women, and they are the most vulnerable. Women and their children, women everywhere are affected. And when we talk about peace, we're supposed to have the women's right in South Sudan. If we talk about full peace, we're supposed to have women that are enjoying the full right, going to school. As she's saying, we don't have to have organization that's supposed to support her. It's supposed to be free education for girls. And when we talk about the state of women, it is really the state where the women are. It is worse than before. Every time you have conflict, communal violence is just getting us to different state and different stage of violations and conflict-related sexual violence, domestic violence. Every time a woman is slaughtered, every time a woman is killed. But let me also give credit to women; they are doing great internationally, also. But still, we are trying to cross the barriers. We are trying to live despite the challenges that we have. So I salute the women of South Sudan, but the state of women still, even the women who are in the villages, they need support. they really need support. The women in the capital city, they really need support. We need kids to be going to school, especially girls. There is a lot of child labor, especially on girls and boys, young boys. Then we also not exclude them. So we need to talk about this much and much. So the state of women is really bad.
Yes.
And we need to speak about it.
I agree with you. Thank you. Thank you for that overview. Speaking of women within the villages, I just want to touch on one case that happened in Bor earlier this year. I think her name was Yar, and it was a case of indecent dressing. And I say that with quotes because I'm not quite sure what is the definition of indecent dressing. And I'm also not quite sure what the Constitution really says about indecent dressing, if it says anything at all. I'm not sure at all. And I think we watched, it was circulating on social media. There was a clip, there was images. She was very vulnerable because of what was happening to her in time. And then there was outrage, of course. Women came out. And how do you do this? And why do you do this? And what is happening? And she was also jailed for this. You know what I mean? Not only harassment, but she was actually jailed for this. What did you think about this case?
Bor is my place, you all. So when I saw this case, even whatever is happening in South Sudan, and when I saw it in Bor, I was like, what is going on? And what are we saying about indecent dressing? The first thing when you told me we were going to talk about that case, I opened the definition of indecent dressing. How do we even define indecent? And I couldn't find proper indecent. Indecent dressing. And according to the definition, it says that whenever you show for a man, the penis appears, or for a woman, your nipples appear. So that's mean that there is some parts that is not a specific part that is not supposed to appear. And I went back to iRadio and I checked the dress of the girl, and I found that it's covered all the way here. So I was like, my people, what is indecent according to the Bor community? To be honest, what is indecent according to the Bor community? Maybe it is defined differently there. And I'm taking it emotionally now because it's really painful. I felt bad for that girl.
It is painful because they also stripped her.
They stripped her, and this is indecent. Let me say,
that is indecent.
That is how we define that one. Because if you really strip that woman, that means you have bad intention, and this is indecent, and this is a crime. Let me say, be it is a law person who did it, be it is a man in uniform who did it. This is a crime. They're supposed to be arrested for what? For harassment.
Right.
Yes. So when we talk about that one, I'm glad that they said the governor, when he heard that, he said this one should be stopped. Right. And he said that those people should be put into investigation. But I don't know what is the update on that. We have to follow up on that. But when we talk about indecent, to be honest, those people who have done this one, they are indecent themselves. To be honest, I can say that clearly and openly. She has not even violated any law. The clothes was so good. She was fully covered.
Absolutely.
And I'm still asking. They have to respond. What is indecent to the Bor community? I'm sorry to say that. What is indecent to South Sudan? So we really need to talk about that. We really need to say that if a person decides to dress up whatever they want to dress up, it is personal choice. It is a personal choice. And it is up, maybe the community will say no to that, but also please define things properly. And when you do things, do it in a proper way. If you see this is indecent, question her slowly and politely by law. And if the law defines indecency, being indecent to dress up all the way to the neck, then we say, okay, that's a crime. Right. But there is no law that defines indecent clothing up to the neck and even wearing something like half here. It is not. So we need to really discuss this thing. South Sudanese really need to understand what is indecent. What is our culture even saying? Some people used to move naked.
Until now.
Even getting a dress is very expensive, $100 or whatever.
Too expensive.
I better go to the market and even be naked. I will feel comfortable.
Right. So you can afford it.
Yes.
Right. Speaking of the law, we did consult with an advocate who was very directly involved with the case, Barbara. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Barbara. She will be joining us, I think, in the next show or the show after. Yeah. And we will be looking at this from a legal perspective as well. But this is her statement. She says the law does not expressly mention issues of dressing in the Constitution, but the clause on culture and the clauses on crimes against morality, together with the powers given to the local government and chiefs and state officers, can give them wings, leading to wrong interpretation, bad implementation, and abuse of power. I think she put it very, very nicely here, because this is really a case of abuse of power.
Yes.
Because you can only do this if the law is not clear enough for you to have loopholes or for it to give you power enough to make this happen, especially cultural law, if we call it customary law. Or what are your thoughts on customary law or cultural laws? Because we seem to have a lot of I think some time back someone said those are the community rules, and this is treated as a law. It's not something written, it's not something visible that they can give you to see, it's not something signed by anyone, but it's there.
Not even implemented.
It's only defined when you do the act, and now they want to punish you. That's when it's defined, and that's when the law comes out. So we have those, and then we have customary laws as well, which personally I feel like do not protect women at all. What are your thoughts in general on that? Because I think those are the pieces that really contribute to such happening, because they give a lot of space for abuse of women to happen. And this is the part of our topic where we ask, or is it rights over women? Because it gives a lot of rights to everybody to do whatever it is they like to women. What are your thoughts?
The customary law, I lost much interest about customary law is when I went to one state. I don't want to mention the name, but I met a chief, a traditional leader who is part of the court, the
Yes.
customary court. And then he told me, definitely you're not married because you're coming here all the way to this state to do this activity. First of all, we need to know how those chiefs and traditional leaders look at women. How do they see women as? Do they see women as commodity?
Right.
Do they respect women? That's one. Do they give the full right to their kids? Do they respect the wives? Okay. The guy even told me that, Adeng, if a woman thinks of divorce, we arrest her for 3 months, we beat her, and then she has to think about it, and then she will change her mind. Is that a punishment in the customary law or his own opinion? If this is the punishment of the customary law, I'm sorry. This is not right, because any court has to go through the investigation process. Why the woman wants divorce? Customary law does not support divorce. Customary law does not support, it does support inheritance, it does support ghost marriage, all these things. We really need to adjust the customary law, and we really need to change the mindset of those chiefs. Because when we look at all the cases, you see, when there is an issue between a woman and the husband and the wife, they always refer the cases to the customary law, especially in some communities. You find that the High Court does not handle this one.
Yes.
You find mostly the cases are handled by the customary law. And then you find cows is associated to that, cows, and the abuse of this thing called cows. It is a problem. Then they say, okay, pay back the cow if you want divorce.
Right.
What is that? Well, what will the person get the money from?
Right.
So this is something that we really need to talk about. Customary law, if they want it to be there, it has to be adjusted and updated. Okay. To support the people in the villages, but it has to be to have the right to have the support for the woman. It has, even gender mainstreaming has to go down there. They have to be trained on gender mainstreaming, and it is very hard to change the mind of those people. But I met some chiefs here in Juba. I've seen the level of education. Okay, the level of education is high.
Right,
and even there are people who can really listen to the cases that is happening now. And even you will find some people that are really respecting the laws, that is the general law. But when it comes to their own power in the country, it's even undermined. So we really need to look at that. It is the customary law against the woman, or is the customary law to help all the society? Because we are all equal before the law. I don't know how it is in the customary law.
Right. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen this customary law, but I have heard. I mean, we are literally probably ruled by the customary law at this point. And I definitely think there's a need for review.
Yeah.
And if it's up to me, I would consider not having it at all, because I don't think there's anything good that is coming out of customary law. Everything that is negative culture, and that exists. Cultural negatives do exist. That is where child marriage comes from, forced marriages come from, and this becomes protected by this customary law. And personally, to me, let's get rid of it. For what? For what? It's not fair. It wasn't built on fairness. It's something that was not brought to life as to maintain, even not even in the spirit of equality. So it even dehumanizes a woman. So that becomes a big problem. It becomes something that can never protect me as a woman. I don't see it protecting me, because if even with divorce, like what you mentioned, we'll beat her first. You cannot think like that if you don't know that there is something that will protect you in saying that, or even help you implement that. You will not think like that. So according to me, customary law out the window. It should not even be there at all. And you mentioned cows. Cows out the window as well. We do not need that. I think everything is being. I can't tell you how many times I've gone online and women are being measured to cows.
Thank you.
Probably every day. Measured to cows. I think I saw a picture of this lady. She posted a picture on Twitter. She's very tall, very beautiful, rich melanin, gorgeous. It's like, because of how tall she is, it'll be this many cows. Then I have how dark skinned she is, this many cows. And then it's like, is she educated? If she is, it would be this many cows. We are measured by cows. At this point, we'll get beef from somewhere else. Just throw the cows out. We're done.
And people need to get married. People need to get married. There is a high rate of singlehood. One, there's what is it called? Cattle raiding.
Right.
Two, a lot of things that is happening because of
cats.
Thank you.
I'm telling you. So I think the verdict on Gender Talk 211, throw it out the window, not here. But I did ask Barbara, the advocate, what can be done legally, or at least advocates, Constitution, the government itself, what can be done to avoid such incidents from happening. And this is what she said: we need clarity on the laws and its implementation through proper courts, capacity building and training of these officers and state actors, since some don't even know the law itself, create awareness of these laws amongst citizens, and lastly, have an oversight body that deals with rogue police. This was a case of rogue police for sure. Rogue police officials and state actors holding them accountable and ensuring ethics and integrity amongst the civil service. I think I 100% agree with Barbara here. Yeah. There's a need to go back and review and look at different things, and also look at who is implementing the law in itself. Yeah. Is the law helpful of women? Does the law protect women? And then who is implementing these laws? Do they know the law and how it should be implemented? All of these, everything that Barbara mentioned, I 100% agree with. So this was one case that I think we wanted to discuss today, and we have another case which Jackie mentioned earlier. Can you read the part about a 19-year-old woman? I think this is a very serious case. So I wanted to give it its own segment.
Yeah, sure. A traditional court in Wau, Western Barkazal State, has sentenced a year-old girl for months in prison for having refused arranged marriage by the family, and later she was released after intervention by the state government. She's 19.
Right. You're the closest in age to her in here. What are your thoughts?
I felt like, we are being corrupted as young people. And at some point, the time I saw this, because it was all over on social media, I was trying to question who are even in the traditional court. What kind of people were there? And then these traditional courts, of course, they have their own ways of doing things, the laws formation. Who formed the laws? And who are acting on the laws now? So I felt like there is sense of insecurity for a younger person, because you cannot really be jailed, and then it's like we are being considered as properties. There is no consent. Because, okay, she's 19, she's young, but she knows she can make choice for herself. And then now, imagine I was just like taking it very personal in a family setting. It's like for you are being owned as a property. So you need to go by what the family decide, and you don't have a voice for that.
Right.
It's so scary. Yeah. So what will make it home for us young people, like in such a situation? What is a home for me as a young person if my own family members can do this?
Right. Right. I think it creates a very scary environment for young people, and more so, we know that this is happening in Juba as well, but within the states, it's probably at a larger magnitude, right? And I couldn't fathom, the being a young girl or just woman in general, and living in so much fear of like, tomorrow this can be me. And I can't imagine how many women identify with this young lady as well. And then to just think 19-year-old in prison for refusing to marry someone that she doesn't even know. Right? Or even if she knew him, this is a marriage against her will. She did not consent to it. And now she's thrown in jail because she said no. Since last year, I think we had the term la yani la, which is no means no. And we've been advocating with it. I think we had the T-shirts and everything since last year's 16 days of activism. And now, from trying to create awareness through the slogan, no means no. Now, when you say no, they throw you in prison. This is the story now.
Yeah.
You get what? That's how I literally thought about it. Now there's something else that's going to, resist your no. It's another tool that is being used against women. You know what I mean? So I think I just went into a dark place when I read this the first time. I think earlier this week or sometime last week, I think, when I read it first, I just went into a dark place because you can't imagine what this young woman is going through, what other young girls that are hearing this are going through. You yourself, you're not even feeling safe.
You could be the next person.
Right. What are your thoughts? And from a human's rights advocate's perspective, what does this look like? I just want to hear it in your own words.
This is a violation. This is a humiliation. And I would like to say that my worries is that she is arrested and released. After releasing, what's happening? I'm asking that question because this lady, she might commit suicide. If she's going back to the same house, seriously, my parents does that, I will leave the house. I will see who is the closest person who will understand me from my family and live with them. Because if my parent can do that, and by the way, Eva and Jackie, that's not the only case. Go to the Juba Central Prison, there's a lot of cases like
that.
I went to the prison and I found a lot of women, they ran from the state and they were arrested here in Juba. They caught them here in Juba and they were put in prison. If we can work hard like this for the development of our country is better than to follow the women and chasing them like we are the only enemy. We don't have common enemy outside somewhere. But women becoming the enemy of even the parents doing that, that's the worst thing ever. The Constitution says in Article 39, Section 3, it is the right and the duty of parents to care for and bring up their children. Is that part of the care? Or this is not personal and also something that is selfish? What do they want to do with the 19 years old going to the husband's house? She does not even know how to take care of herself. But the 19 years old, I myself, I object when it's 21. They say everyone above 18
Same
is an
here.
adult. But is she ready to choose even? Is she ready? So this is something that, as a human rights advocate or human rights activist, I won't accept. Because arresting the girl, she has the right to choose the family. If 19 years old, when she falls in love with somebody, and she says, "This is the man I want," you cannot force the person to stay.
Right.
Go, but don't force the person against the will. Because who is she going to? Is she going to digest that person? Who is he? Maybe he's a serial killer. You're taking your child from the house and you're putting it. She goes through maybe domestic violence. She goes through a lot of things, and the next thing she's killed.
Which is very common. This is what usually
happening
happens
to girls who are even 30 years old, leave alone 19.
Exactly.
A lot of girls are going through that, and to be honest, even human rights activists themselves are going through that.
Absolutely.
And they keep quiet because they don't want to show the rest that you're also facing the same, so that they don't feel bad. What is going on in South Sudan? Like 19 years old, she has the right to family. She has the right for anything else, but it has to come from her. What are you doing with that? You want the dowry? Work hard. South Sudan is a place you work hard and you get something. You can find something from that. You work hard, you don't sit at home and just pretend. You look at the girl every day, she's growing, you're waiting first 1 year.
Right.
5, 10, 15. The moment she's 16, whoa, she's a woman.
She's ready.
Oh,
sometimes at even 15, 16, halas.
Yes. My sister got my picture one day in somebody's house. And then they said, "What is?" She asked, "What is my sister's picture doing here?" And they said, "We are actually going to marry her off." To who? A person of 60-something years old. He died. I said, "So I was going to be a widow." I started crying.
Sorry.
So I just imagined that. Huh? Then I asked my mom, if they would have come to you, what would have you done? She said, "I think I will not accept that. I'm an educated woman, and I'm your mother and your father. You know why they wanted maybe to marry me off? Because my father died when I was 2 years and a half, and they think that a woman cannot raise the kids. But luckily, we are the one now taking care of my mom.
Right.
Even we went through that. Imagine if I was married by that age. So as a human rights activist, we need to stop that so that it will not continue. Now this kind of case makes me think the kind of woman that I will bring into my life.
Yeah.
Who's going to be the father of my child? Because sometimes a man might say that I want to marry this girl off. A woman might be quiet. She might not like it, but she has no say in the family. You find the uncles are coming in with their asaya and then it's on the suit dowry negotiation. And the woman is quiet. And then you find sometimes the woman is even supporting that. So we need to stop that. We need to do even awareness raising in the family,
in communities and families. Yes,
and families.
I agree.
We need to talk about that, and we need to talk to the girls so that they don't give up. We need to talk to the girls so that they have the dream and they work hard and they do that. And we need to empower women economically so that they don't depend only on their husband and yes all the time, and then you find yourself putting your children in step. So we need to talk about all these things, and we need to really punish those parents who have done that. This is a violation.
I think parents should start getting punished for this. Absolutely. Anyone that actually participates in, forced marriage, child marriage, and the priest that is blessing this, please, all of them have to go. People need to start getting punished. I love the story she did on Gender News last week. And there was a story of young, I think, a book from Awil, where you heard about that story, where she now went to the police station and reported her parents. And it really baffles me that she did it like that. Her parents weren't thrown in jail. And when the parents reported this young lady for now, she's in jail for 3 months. How is this? This is where I really disagree with the law. Extremely disagree with the law. And I don't understand where we're going as a country.
Yes. Right?
Because how does now, if the law is protecting your abusers, be it your parents or not, anybody can abuse you. If the law is protecting your abuser, what are we supposed to do now? Even human rights advocates like you, what are you supposed to do now? If the law itself is protecting abusers, how much power do people have to advocate? Who are you advocating to? What changes can be made?
And they shut us off, by the way. As a human rights activist, they shut us off. They tell us, keep quiet, do not talk about it. You might even find some threats and some arrests. So these kind of cases, you find a lot of issues. I have a friend that she actually took one survivor of gender-based violence in the house, and they came looking for her with a quick statement. They reached all the way to the house, and they told her, "Is that you? Please do not interfere into our issues. You might get into more worse issues, even from the threat to the risk. Imagine it's moving." So as a human rights activist, sometimes we become very careful with what we do and what we say, but also we don't have places to keep those survivors, those victims.
Safe houses.
Safe houses is a problem. We don't have safe houses. Okay? So when we talk about the budget, even for gender, is low, the lowest budget, I believe.
Right.
Even safe houses is not there. We cannot even build. Even as a person, you cannot even get a plot for yourself. Organization tries and get a plot, but cannot build it. It's difficult. How to maintain it is also a problem. So companies has to give money. Companies of South Sudan has to give money. If there is no funding from the donors, companies of South Sudan has to give money to also build the society, to help the society grow. Education, all these things has to come up. Every time, like Gender Talk 211 talks a lot about issues. Do we even listen to that?
Right.
Do we even listen to that? Do we even talk about those issues? Like now, the news is very good. We should have a proper news channel to talk about those issues of women only.
Right.
Only. So you can have also a news channel.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. And in regards to the safe houses, you're right when you said even now that she's been released after intervention, where does she go? It's your own parents, it's your own family that put you in there. And a lot of the times, even when you have relatives that you would feel safe with, those relatives might not feel safe having you. Mm-hmm. Now it becomes another issue on her plate. And she's 19 years old. Where would she go? What is she supposed to do? This is someone that is still considered a child. So I think the conversation of safe houses is a very important conversation that we need to start having. And I think maybe also, just looking at different cases, let me say trending cases that have happened this year, you saw a lot of unity within the activists. They truly come together, they speak up. My only issue with that, it's a 15 minutes window. Mm-hmm. And then we move on. Mm-hmm. Or the next thing happens and we move from one thing to the other. And we don't collectively follow up on what happened with that. Is that person okay? Just like you said right now, you were thinking about her after the fact. What happens to her afterwards? We need to be able to collectively come together to ensure that the person is actually okay. Yeah. And it does not become another, headline story and we move on to the next story tomorrow. So do you think there's a bit of, if I want to ask this correctly because I don't want to offend anyone, right? I want to ask this correctly. Do you think if let's say human rights activists like us at Gender Talk 211, other women-led initiatives or initiatives that focus on women, if all of them come together, you don't think things like something like a safe house can be started?
Yes, you said if all the women-led organization, women rights activists come together, how will they come together? Now we need to work on that. And like you have said that there is a serious, like you see that there's a serious unity between women-led organization. And I would like to add is women-led organization plus the women in power. If you have seen there is serious power and unity between the women in power now and the women-led organizations, and they come together, they have conferences, all these things, which sometimes is sustainable, effective, and sometimes not.
Right.
But the follow-up required, it needs to be there. And when the civil society organization or women-led organization does that, we also need the women in the government position to be following up at the top level to see what is happening with the laws, what is happening with the policies, and what is happening with everything. The safe house, if we, every woman activist, because there's a number of women activists that are coming up.
There's a lot. And there's quite many of us. I mean, what I actually meant is I've seen the kind of unity that women can have.
Yes.
And it's something that can cause serious pressure. Mm-hmm. But the problem is we disperse afterwards and everyone goes back to doing whatever they're doing and we lose the momentum.
Yes. So we need common goal. If each one of us bring a block and we put it on that block, it does not necessarily, for example, if an organization, for example, like SWAN or Center for Inclusive Governance, Peace and Justice for Jacqueline Nasiwa comes and have a plot, and if we put a block there to build it, it does not mean that it fully belongs to the organization. Let's take it as ours and have a safe place for women, and then try and build it. Believe me, women, we have money. In South Sudan, we have money. I don't want to announce that I have money, but we have money.
I think you just did.
To be honest, if we sell the chain, the gold chain,
right,
we get money. If we sell this phone, we get money. To be honest, if we go to our uncle, father, mother, whoever, please give me money, we get money. But now the priority, what are we giving that money to be honest? So you have to we have to sit down and set our priorities right. And we need to see where is our goal and say that, oh, there is this situation, we need to build a safe house and build it. If you want to be honest, there are different people that want to benefit from different projects. If you want fame, we give it to you. If you want publicity, we give it to you. If you want even to have a room in that safe house, because see, all these things is happening to the girls, it might come back and happen to you, and you are the one who needs the safe house.
Absolutely.
So we really need to do something for that, to be honest. We need to do something. We don't have to depend on the donor funding all the time. This is South Sudan and it is ours. The safe house will remain. It is not a tent, it is not a container.
Right.
It is a house with a block that will stay. So let's try and build. And please, let's ask the businesswoman. Please give us the money for this society program. Recently, I reached out to Adeng Amos for a program, and she said we can fully sponsor that program. Reach out to whoever that have money and ask them, we need to do this one, not for you. We need to do this one for this program. And don't say, what do I, that person got the money from what? No. Just say, I need the money. Write a proposal. Don't get it just like that.
Write a proposal, have a clear idea.
But that's a good idea. We have to bring it to the women that organization.
No, definitely. We do. I mean, we have you here. You're the powerhouse in here. So come on, let's make this happen. I really think it's something that we need to look into seriously and sort of make happen.
Yes.
Produce it. By next year, let's have a safe house, because vulnerable women are going to need a place to go to, somewhere they feel protected, and somewhere they just feel safe, So let's think about it. To all women organizations, let's make this is a very open call. Let's get together and make this happen. Then we have about 4 minutes to go. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to wrap us up on the conversation and way forward.
Yes, I just want to say that despite all this conversation and the cases that is happening, there's a lot of things that women are trying to do. There's a lot of bills that are pending in the parliament or even Ministry of Justice. We have the anti-GBV bill to solve all these matters.
Right.
We have the institutional reform in the peace agreement. We have the Chapter 5 of the peace agreement to get the rights of the violation that has happened for the women and for all the human rights violation. We have the family law that is completely shows what are the laws and the punishment for divorce, inheritance, forced marriage, property, all these things.
Right.
Because I'm part of that review of the family law. So this thing had been drafted. So it has to go through the proper channel and gets approved. So all these papers has to be there, but we also have to put people who can be in position to implement these things. So the law reforms has to happen, the legal reform has to happen, the security sector have to have more women. Women take the power, get the position. Everybody is when the ministers sit there, lobby,
right, lobby for yourself, absolutely.
work for the woman. Please, when you get there, do not forget the woman that needs you. So please be in power, represent the woman internationally. For them, Miss Earth South Sudan, she has done great. It's okay, let everything appear. I carry a pad with me in case just my period comes anytime. So please let it happen. She was not the only one. There's a lot of people that were for them was appearing. So we support her. I support you. I support you. There's a lot of things to do. If we bring all this power, all this energy, and we bring it together, we have to have positive energy all the time. We look good. We have to look good from inside and outside. So please do best, and also advocate. Let the advocacy go everywhere. Go to the parliament in case something is not good. Go to Honorable Leek in case everything is not good. Go to the president and tell him there is something that is not good.
Things are not good, right?
Let's break the barriers.
I agree.
Get there and get all the power. Please get the big position and the strategic position. We have already the strategic position. Let's get more position. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Adeng. I was so excited and I'm so happy that you managed to come through and get with us at Gender Talk 211. Hopefully and definitely it will not be the last time for you on the show. We will continue having these conversations. And thank you to you, the audience, online and on air. This is Gender Talk 211 with Eva Lopa and
Jackie Ben,
my beautiful co-host Jackie Ben. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Gender Talk 211. And to you, have a good drive safe and have a good night.